Greetings and welcome to the Superb Diamond Range Show. This is episode 14, Toxic Wasteland, and today's date is the 25th of May 2014. I noticed, Diamond, you had some trouble recently with none other than British Gas. If you'd like to fill our listeners in.
Hello. Well, I had some trouble with them because they have a plan, British Gas, to install the smart meter in everyone's home by 2019. And doing some research on smart meters, found out they work on the same frequency as mobile phones. And what British Gas have done, they've lied to us. Well, they sort of told us the truth about something, but what they're doing in effect is putting something that can kill people in their home, which causes radiation. And what they say is the smart meter is a device that can calculate what you're using the most. So it could be your kettle, your fridge. So, breaks down everything, which big deal. But when that's going on, you got a lot of frequency going on in the air, which you can't see, but your brain and your body will pick it up. And I got a phone call one day asking, to change the meter, and I thought, okay. And then they said it's a smart meter. And luckily, I got in touch with you, Superb. So, I owe you big again for that. And
No worries.
yeah, I did agree to having it because their selling point is pretty good, and also they're telling you that you're saving money too. But I was actually quite furious when I'd done my own research, and I should have done it before, about smart meters and biggest killers. They you can see the globalists want to kill people by your food, by wars, but now they're putting devices in your home.
It's
So
really shocking what they're doing.
It's evil. I bet you that you wouldn't find the upper class or the monarchies with devices like that in their place. Well, obviously they wouldn't, because they do not have meters. They have eternal juice with
Exactly.
no meter at all. Pay? What's pay? Let me look in the dictionary and find out what this word means.
So I
And
remember watching the Aaron Russo from Freedom to Fascism, and they were talking about smart grid and about the device which would tell you if you were gonna, like, all the food that you buy in the supermarket was gonna have like really small nano-sized chips in them, and if you were going to the fridge in the middle of the night, it would be able to know like that you had an ice cream in the middle of the night or a pizza. And obviously this was all going to be connected to the insurance in healthcare, so that they knew that if you kept eating ice cream at 3 a.m., your insurance was going to be very high. And this was all kind of a way to kind of see what people are doing in their houses. It's a spying thing as well, but obviously
of course,
it's bad for your health too.
yeah, because you got two parts to it: the spying and the risk to your health. And I've heard of many cases now that where the smart meter is positioned, where babies have died in the cot.
Terrible.
Can you imagine, like, you go in a cafe or somewhere like that, and they have Wi-Fi, don't they? Most
That's
places
right.
now.
Everywhere has it pretty much.
People think that's a good thing. All these signals and radiation going everywhere. And I was on a coach once as well, and there's Wi-Fi there. So practically everywhere you go, it's like you can't escape from it. and now they're bringing it into your homes, and this is 10 times worse because this is on constantly, and it's a lot stronger than the mobile phone. So
Definitely.
yeah, so
Uh,
for me that is is a killer radiation, which people need to get together and learn about it, and we need to stand and definitely not no one have this in their home.
well, we I live very close, as you know, Diamond, to the RAF base, and obviously all the time, we have a nice park where I live, and I like to go for walks through it, and all the time I look up at the sky and I see these, s- planes spraying chemtrails, and it's just, it's ridiculous. Like they make all these crisscrosses and circles and everything, and most of the people around don't have a clue what's going on. But when you do your research, you realise that it's all part of the New World Order's
Yeah, of course,
plans to kind of
of
poison
course.
us. And there's like a lot of respiratory conditions, for people that has obviously got worse thanks to that, or no thanks to that. And it's just really sad that um, most people don't understand or know about it.
And the average man will just look up in the sky and think, interesting, and that'll be it. Not realizing that the sky was never this would never look like that, say 10, 20 years ago.
No
It is
way.
absolutely shocking. And governments or the mass media says nothing about it. Has I do not read newspapers or I do not have a TV as such, so my source of information is coming via the internet and word of mouth. So my stress levels are pretty cool because the media does make people think. They turn on the news and they see something bad and they worry. So, but
Definitely. It's
I'm
all
just,
doom and gloom, isn't it, with them?
of course. So I'm just wondering, have you ever heard of anyone talking about chemtrails, or has it ever been on the TV?
Um, I mean, I've tried to talk to people in the street about it, and again, a lot of them are not really interested, to be honest.
They didn't want to know. They're stuck into their daily routine and making money and paying the bills and the bling bling. Of course, you get me.
Yeah, because I remember trying to explain it to a man once, and he just sort of looked at me funny, like, what am I on about? Like I'm
Yeah.
crazy, and I even sort of recommended some places that he could check the information out, and again, he didn't want to know. And most people, like you say, they're just so into, you know, useless, unimportant stuff that doesn't matter. But when it comes to their health, which is one of the most important things, they're not interested at all.
Not interested at all, not one bit. Um,
You'll
you know,
you'll
it's
you'll remember one time, Diamond, that I complained to the RAF through the MP.
that was amazing. I was just thinking of that actually, superb. I was going to bring that up because it got to the stage where you actually found out who your local MP was, and you sent him a line. You dropped him a line,
That's right. That's exactly it.
and to his credit, he was honourable because he did reply, so he was doing his job. And in his reply, if I remember rightly, superb, he because I did see the letter too, and he did agree with you. He knew something was going on. This was 2012, I believe, at the
That's right.
time, because we were saying we were predicting the weather would be good for the Olympics, and it was
That's right.
in
I remember
London.
that.
There was no way they would have bad weather during the Olympic Games. So all this also affects the weather. The chemtrails. It's shocking. It's hard to believe, and people say conspiracy theory and all that sort of stuff, but
It's like you could understand it if it was just like a one-off, but when you go out every day and you got these really nice sunny days that we don't really get much of in this land, and
yeah,
straight away you've got that just spoiling it kind of thing, and you've got all these like young children out playing in the park and on the swings and on the slides and everything, and they're just like being poisoned basically, at a very very young age. And um, like another one that we should raise is the old tap water, the famous
shocking
tap
again,
water.
shocking again. That is shocking. Because right now we both use distillers, water distillers, to purify the water, which comes out at about 100%, just under 100% of purity, which gives it's a similar sort of taste of coconut juice. The distilled water, beautiful, and I feel much better for it.
Much clearer mind, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Before,
definitely.
like, it just slows you down the way you feel and your thoughts, and you just people wonder why they're sick all the time, and like the most important thing is to stay hydrated. And
That's
I've
right.
noticed that with the tap water, I mean, I did take it now and again when I was out, when I couldn't get access to distilled, and I noticed that after just drinking a little bit of it, that I would feel thirsty again,
Yeah,
not too long after, and it kind of reminded me of like a can of Coke, the way that it would
right.
kind of make you thirsty and want more. And I imagine they're putting things in it to kind of to make you drink more so that you get more poison. And obviously it has to work through your system as well, and it will all the crap will
That's true.
be in it. And I mean, it's
Because
fluoride, it's chlorine, all those they're all poisons basically, and
and all
they're in water.
people come out and say, "Oh, chlorine's good for your teeth," and they, that people are taught the, well, think they're taught the good things, but they haven't got a clue. The bad stuff outweighs the good stuff a million times,
Definitely.
a million times. Like, there's nothing good in the chemtrails, um, and the planes also spraying on farmland. That's why a lot of the stuff is processed. So it's unorganic, becomes unorganic, and farmers do not have a say. Otherwise, they'll probably lose their land. Farmers in the UK, I would say some of them are quite wealthy. So, and the ones that would sell in mass bulk to stalls, they're not going to say nothing as long as they're getting their money. Sorry to say.
That's
I'm
right.
sure,
Yes, it's
I'm sure
very
there
true.
are. I'm sure there are some honourable farmers out there, but these, when it comes to polluting their land, they would be targeted, they would be singled out, and so they would probably just go for it. They wouldn't speak out. I haven't heard of people speaking out, to be honest.
I mean, I
Well,
noticed
not in
as
the UK.
well on the same line of farming, you've got the fracking, which is pretty big in US. As you know, a lot of farmers will, sorry to say, for the paycheck, they will sell out to the big corporations that want
Oh,
to frack
they do, they
their
do.
land, and they're trying to bring it. I mean, it probably is already going on over here, but they're definitely talking like it's a good thing. The how do you call it, the salesman for the slaves, the prime minister, and all that. They're trying to make out that, oh, this is a good thing, and that we'll do it safely and everything else. But the reality of it is that it's all damaging, and it's causes so many other problems to the earth and to the planet. But again, it's money's more important than our health. So who
Yeah,
cares? As long as they get paid.
yeah, that's true. They get paid, and I think the main objective is to sort of keep the human race um, at its lowest common denominator,
Definitely, that's very true.
than for them to collect the money. For them to screw us over, then they get paid for that. Like governments, like will get paid good big payoffs after they sort of bomb countries like that Labour leader Tony Blair.
Yeah, I remember him.
Absolutely, when half the country is saying, out on the streets, stop. We do not want the war, but didn't give a shit. Just carried on.
That's right.
So
These
people
these
vote
guys
vote
don't
them
care
in.
for us.
Yeah,
But
people vote them in,
people
and then
still vote them in, but they don't give a
yeah,
shit, basically.
and when people go in the streets and march and say, "Look, this is our voice," they don't want to know,
That's right.
and that alone would be a reason not to vote for these sort of parties. That's if you do vote.
Because when you vote, you're sort of, it's like anything that goes on once they get in, you're kind of allowing it to happen. Obviously, if they want to
True.
go to war with another land, you voted them
Well,
in, so they're going to be.
true,
You're. It's like you're saying it's okay to bomb
true.
countries. You know.
Well, you're right there, Superb. When you're voting, you're basically giving them permission to do anything on your behalf.
And it's like you're giving
So
them your consent as well by.
exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah. No. No. Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I meant, and that's why I feel now those who do not vote, they're more wary of them.
Definitely.
Even
Definitely.
those even those people that vote for parties that no one's heard of, they know that they probably think that anyone that votes still believe that government is the way forward. But those who do not vote, I'm sure they must be thinking, well, these people, they don't have much faith in us anymore. Maybe they're the rebellious ones. These are the ones we've got to keep an eye on.
Definitely. Definitely.
That was my vote, is to stay away from those corrupt, unhonourable, antichrist bastards. But
Because
sorry to sidetrack.
that's okay. But they're all connected to it. I mean, they're the
Yeah,
ones that let it all go ahead, and they're the ones that make the deals behind the scenes, and
true. Well,
you know,
talking of pollution, I would say they are the biggest pollution, the OMP, the monarchy.
definitely,
You ever thought about that? They are the biggest scourge on the planet. Worst pollution ever.
100%. That is well true.
You'd like people, someone to sweep them out.
Yeah, I mean, all the time, they're sort of like promising that things are going to get better, but when they get in, things always get worse. And no one wants to sort of vote for like you know anybody that is any good. But even if they thought they were good, by the time they get in, the system, the institutions they'll change anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And you
You know,
think,
it's
why do people take this so serious? Because of the images of the TV and everything. They turn up, they wear suits, they wear a tie, they're well spoken. So the idiot public, oh, they must be honourable people.
they went to Oxford as well. Don't forget that.
Exactly, exactly. They know legalese. They know how to twist words. They'd be very good in court, right?
But it's your right. So,
Yeah,
but what about a right to good health, or
exactly,
living clean and
exactly.
um, moving on? I was going to mention about the food in the supermarkets, which I used to blame the companies, but now I don't really blame them. I think it's the people like me. I've been there in the past where I've made those choices where I've taken their foods, and
Yeah.
I've always felt awful afterwards, and I've always been sick afterwards. But I can't. I'm not going to blame them anymore because it's not worth it.
No,
It's up
it's
to
not.
us
It's not
to
because
stop taking them.
they know that they put all the they write all the information on the packs, and it's up to us to check. And the way they write things is like you got to go into a shop and read a book, see all the things that are listed, the ingredients, and also they know, and they know that that most of the stuff isn't good. So yeah, we can't blame them because it was as you said, it's our choice to walk in that shop.
Definitely.
No one forced us,
I mean, it's
and
it's difficult because, like, obviously, where we live, we live pretty close to the city, and we haven't. There are farms around, but they are quite far to travel to, and you've got the organic shops that some of them are quite good, but obviously they're really expensive. So
shocking.
you feel like you want to eat healthy, but if you're not growing your own, which I think if you're in a position or if you have land or an allotment to grow your own, then you should definitely be doing it because
That's right.
it might take a bit of time to grow, but once you get it going, all your sicknesses are a thing of the past.
Easy, easy. I think anyone who has a house with a garden should use the garden for what it's made for, to grow.
Definitely.
At least grow one or two things on it.
except
Do
except
don't
most people
turn
want
your
to. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. I was going to say, do not turn your front garden into a driveway as most people do. Put their three cars there, and so that is again kind of destroying nature.
Definitely, definitely. Because I was going to say you mentioned the front yard being like the car parks for all the
Definitely,
3, 4 cars that they have, but I
yes,
was going to say the back garden's the barbecue now. That's where they have the
that's
barbecues
true. Yeah,
where
back
they
garden's a
roast the animals.
barbecue, and let's 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 do one over the neighbours. Oh, look what we have at the back. We've got a barbecue. We've got a shed with a gym inside. We've got another shed, putting some families there to live. Joke. With a helicopter going over, protecting these people now. It's amazing. Um,
But don't worry, they're all here like legally and stuff.
yeah, of course.
They've all
Well, I'm
done their
one of them.
papers.
I'm one of them that lives in one of these sheds at someone's back garden. Yeah,
Oh my
and
god.
it is funny because I like to see them get me out because they just presume that you're paying rent. No, I'm staying for free.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
the amount of cars that people have now. I mean, uh, one was okay, but now it's like one's not enough. You got to have four. And
shocking.
make sure that you know they're not second hand and that they're bought with credit and stuff.
For me, when I see that, I for one of the first things I think of is the closeness of families have gone out the window. You know,
Certainly.
when I was growing up, we had no car, but we were all close. And now, you see three, four cars in a house. Siblings are just going in and out when they please, not talking to anyone. The days of there were no cars. You might have to travel somewhere. So, I've got to go somewhere now, and you're having to. I'm just gonna go to Ealing or somewhere or Hounslow. Just gonna get the bus. I'll be 2 hours.
They're
So
gone, aren't they? Yeah.
there was communication there, but there's nothing now. People have these cars. They live in their rooms with their computer or their mobile phone, which has internet. which is pollution, which basically is one of the worst forms of pollution, other than maybe factories or chemicals of industrial estates.
Yeah, I mean,
But the radiation is definitely got to be up there. Superb.
and another one that's pretty near to us, I guess, would be the Heathrow, the airport,
Oh,
which is
shocking.
sorry for anybody that lives near there, but contending with the amount of planes going over you so low down, and obviously you've got the pollution is just horrendous there. All the houses look really dirty as a result of it,
Yeah, of course.
for obvious reasons that planes have been flying over them for years and years, and it's like it's just like you. I mean, it's pretty filthy when you go to the city, but to the center of the city, but the Heathrow is very very dirty, very very dirty.
And I think Heathrow is supposed to be what the world's second busiest airport.
I think that's right. Yeah, that's
And
true.
if you check this out, um, a few years ago we had the hottest day of the year, and guess where it was?
Heathrow.
Yep, no surprise there. Mixing with all that, all that pollution, which gives you, with the planes going by all the time, it's naturally hot, isn't it?
Definitely.
And so with the sun as well, so they picked up the hottest temperature recorded. And
Amazing.
so, and what makes me laugh is how over here they like to point the Brits and the Yanks like to point a finger at the Chinese for pollution. And of course, they show you pictures or videos of the sky just basically all black or brown all the time.
It's really, really bad.
Uh,
Like you would think that, you know, they would have come up with something a lot better than what we've got. But it seems like, again, what we talked about earlier about money being more important than your health and everyone
yeah,
else's health. And
yeah, they have no. There are remedies out there for everything, but they it's not in their plan to see the human race living good and to prosper.
they just want us to sort of work hard and suffer basically
Yeah,
and
of
just
course, of
and get
course.
sick and die. It's
I mean, there was a classic line, what you gave me this morning, which makes perfect sense. Uh, can you read it out for me, Superb? Do you remember what it was?
I don't have my phone on me at the moment.
Okay. Now that's a classic anyway. I don't have my phone on me.
Because we were doing this show, so I wanted to, be as healthy as I could.
Yeah, good one. But anyway, it was on the lines of about debt and our Creator giving us everything in abundance for free,
That's right.
and debt comes from man, which the Antichrist kind of thing,
Definitely.
and you're always in debt, and people think it's a good thing, even debt, um, interest. Um, yeah,
It is. It is something else. It is something else.
but anyway, going back to pollution, because I guess that is a pollution there, because one of the reasons why the world or most of the humans are in a stressed way is because of money and poverty. So that is a bad.
Definitely.
That thought alone is pollution.
Definitely. You know, it's on people's minds
Yeah,
most of the time, and they can't get away from it. Just like you can't get away from the pollution.
That's right. So, people wake up in a polluted state, in a poor state, stressed out, and every day just has a knock-on effect. Get sick, body breaks down, the cells break down because they're not, you're not thinking straight, and cancer creeps in. Then, God forbid, they go for that treatment, chemo, and what's that I can see in the floor? That's one foot in the grave. Then, it's the beginning of the end.
As you said, it's like even in the hospital, they're using like what do you call it? Like X-rays and you know anything like radiation or
Yeah, of
kind of
course,
machines.
of course.
And you think that you're trying to escape that.
Yeah,
It's bad enough in your own home, and when you walk around the streets that you're trying to avoid that, and then you go to the hospital and they're
exactly.
giving you some more. So it shows you that they're not there to cure or heal
No,
you.
they're not. They're not. I do not. Sorry, there are some great, fantastic doctors out there who trained and have got a good hearts, but
Definitely
but I do not see them as real doctors.
not at all. Not at all.
A real doctor can cure you, not stabilize your condition. Even those people that work in the Chinese herbal places do more than doctors. Sorry to say.
It
At
it
least they have remedy.
it's funny you should mention that about the Chinese like herbalists or Chinese medicines, and they um they are really good, and I'm not knocking them at all. But quite a lot of them, they have actually trained in the Western medicine as well as the alternative.
Yeah,
And for some reason, even though they practice alternative, they are still very into the the Western side. So, for example, they believe in like vaccinations and things like that, even though they don't do it because they're not allowed. They haven't got the license for it. But basically, you would think that once you learn the Western, that that gives you one sort of side, but you'd think that once you learn the alternative, that
when you when you
everything you need
say
is there.
when you say vaccinations, are you talking about Chinese in general, or are you talking about the herbal people in
Um,
the shop?
yeah, like basically most of the doctors that practice the Chinese
Yeah,
alternative therapies, they basically a lot of them have trained as a sort of like Western style doctor before.
right.
So basically, what they do is first they study as like a regular doctor, like you get in the like hospitals over here, for
Yeah,
example, and then they just sort of go over to the alternative Chinese medicine,
yeah.
and a lot of the teachings that they got from the Western medicine, they don't lose that. They still have that in their mind, and basically they still like believe in um, vaccinations and that you've got to take certain medicines like antibiotics and things like that. I mean, I'm not saying they give them out, but they
I
just
think,
like they've still got the mindset basically
yeah, I
of
think
a
for that, when they take all that kind of stuff as babies, for sure, I guarantee you, later on in life, they will be going for treatment because all they need is the breast milk and natural mineral water. But these you're talking about these having vaccinations at a young age. That's setting them up to
de-
pay money in the future.
definitely to make
So
you.
it's all
Yeah,
a long plan. You inject the baby, then later on in life, they're going to be seeing the quack at some stage, forking out money.
that's right.
The quack meaning doctor, listeners.
Yeah, I mean, the old saying about there was only sick people when doctors came about, kind of thing. That sorry, there was no sick people until doctors came,
True,
and
true.
you see how things are going now. It's like as we said, there's so many different types of pollution around, and all of that leads to sickness.
All of it,
Um,
all of it does. I mean, it's a sorry state we live in, and day by day you can break down this matrix, and you can see it for what it is now. And there is nothing healthy about it, nothing exciting, in my opinion.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, when you're talking about the radiation, it is like that's a perfect word actually. When I to sum up a smart meter, it's like the effects of a bomb that's been dropped, and you have the radiation that kind of affects people that are still walking about for miles, but you can't see radiation. And you know that you could sum that up. I know it sounds a bit drastic, but mobile phones, slight radiation, the smart meters, the X-rays, all that is affecting us. So all those ways, all those remedies, what they have, are there to finish us.
Yeah, because going back to the smart meters, I remember, I think it was about a year ago, or maybe a bit less, but I remember seeing on the tube, stop smart meters videos, like, and there was like people in California that the energy companies in America were rolling them out, and they were trying to force the people to use them, like they had no choice almost. And basically, the neighborhood, like, was all the people were getting sick in their own houses, and like the gardens where they had like conifer trees were like rotting or burning from the inside out due to
Whoa,
the
whoa.
the radiation of it. And they started all getting together and trying to make groups to make people aware of what was going on. And they were actually putting uh, kind of like a box over their meters to stop the energy companies from kind of coming and putting smart meters on. So they were like had padlocks on their meters and stuff.
Good for
And
them.
they were really bossy about it. I mean, at least British Gas, they didn't force it on you. They just offered it to you, hoping that you might agree. But in America, from what I heard, it was like they were forcing it on the customers. Like this was a new technology, and we were upgrading it, and you had to go along with it, or else you wouldn't get electric. And I'm not too sure about the US. Maybe some of our US listeners can let us know. But over here you can choose many different electric
Yeah,
companies.
that's true.
Whether or not they're all one is another thing, but at least you have a little bit of choice as to who you go with. So, like certain companies might not offer the smart meters, and certain ones will. So I think that but yeah, when I heard that, Diamond, I was pretty shocked by it. To be honest, it was really really crazy.
I mean, America, to do that, I actually, what you're talking about, I did do some research as well, and I can back up what you're saying as true, and I was shocked too. And that kind of thing they would say happens in North Korea, where they just come up and force things upon you without, you say, nope, I don't want it. Okay, well, you can say no, but we do not give a shit. You're still putting it inside,
That
even though you
is
bought the
wrong.
house.
That is wrong.
So
Yeah.
someone buys a house and they want to force someone to they want to put a smart meter in. Do you really own the house then? I don't think so.
it
You
it
know,
is just madness, like. And like, I guess another one that's pretty interesting is the obviously the cars that they've got. The petrol's always been a big thing, and even though we know that they have electric cars, but now apparently they're too expensive for us to afford. But in the meantime, they want to get as much money from the oil sales that they
that's true.
can.
That's true.
But obviously oil is not, when it comes out the exhaust, it's not a nice thing. And again, it is a form of pollution, and it does make us sick, because we
Yeah, of
have to breathe
course.
it in every day, and
That's
um,
why that's why you have more people on a large scale around the world who live in these areas, like in these big cities, having asthma.
that's right, that's right.
And you're seeing cyclists now riding bikes with the mask on, which, the filter, which I also have as well. And 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you never saw anyone who needed a mask on the road. But, you talk about the London or Bangkok or Manila, that is like when you catch a plane and the plane, you can see all that heat and the fuel. When a plane's about to take off and you can see the actual heat. Don't know if you can
Yeah,
spot
I've
that
seen that.
sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Now that is like the streets now. you can
Because
you can feel that in your face.
I also remember, like, on really really hot, very rare summer's days in on this land, like we used to, you'd be going up through the towns on foot, and you would get the builders that were, digging up the concrete to kind of, I don't know, do some road repairs or whatever, and the sort of like concrete they would mix, or the tar that they used to put on the roads. Like whenever it was really hot, you
Oh,
could
that
really
was a
feel the
horrible
smell,
smell.
and
Yeah,
it's really uncomfortable. And that's what they were kind of, that's what they were letting us, you know take in basically all the time. So, instead of finding, like, again, other ways to kind of do things, better ways for everyone's health, they always go for the most unhealthy way.
they do.
And,
I
think
think,
about the workers that are right next to it,
yeah,
breathing
that's
it.
right. I think they do that. They do that so things will not last. So they have to keep on doing it over and over again. So you're going to have the cycle of the smell, people getting sick, visiting doctors, because you tend to realize that now the system likes doctors, hospitals
Definitely.
and schools, because they rake in the money, and they're big on the agenda to, because the medicine is probably medicine's what we take in the pharmacies and hospitals are the are drugs, are the main killers. People talk about cocaine and all that, which are bad, but what the doctors prescribe to you in hospitals and doctors, they're drug dealers.
Definitely. Definitely. Is
They're,
100%.
as the system likes to call it, they're legalized drug dealers. And the man on the street who sells cocaine or whatever is the illegal one.
And that's why you need a license to be a doctor.
Yeah,
They give you licenses, and they can
that's
take
right.
your license away.
Exactly. They are up there in the system. They are well liked.
Definitely. I mean,
They're the ones who are killing the people. No, sorry, listeners, if I'm offending our gods, because people do see doctors as gods, because you come out of an operation and it could be a successful operation, which is good. Some do good work, but people need to take time and learn remedies because everything's out there.
like, I must say, I mean, I went to see my GP, I remember a good few years ago, and I mean, I haven't really gone to him since I've been learning stuff. But basically, I found that even he kind of knew that the medicine that he was providing wasn't really the cure, and he was actually trying to tell me in his own way that there were other ways. And he was actually exposing a lot about the NHS, why that they're trying to save money, and that they're trying to cut corners, and he was trying to
Yeah,
explain it to me in his own little way. But he was quite honest. I think he knew deep down that the medicine wasn't really what was needed. It was more, there was other ways that he was trying to tell me. But at the same time, he probably felt that because of the institution he's part of, he
yeah, of
has
course.
to follow
Well,
procedure, and
the sad the sad thing is they start off that life thinking it's an honourable profession,
that's right, that's right.
and a bit like the council really, because I now see the NHS and the councils as kind of bad, satanic even, because
Definitely.
councils, as we were led to believe, as we done a show on, I think it was our second episode, were there to help us, help people get homes. But now we know councils have their own office in a court. They collect fines. They're just an extortion racket. And when I think of hospitals, like you're talking about the injections, if you're born in a hospital, a baby's born in a hospital, for sure they will they'll tell you we have to give this baby an injection before it comes out, and you can't do nothing about it.
That's right. That's exactly what they're doing.
So hospitals impose their wills on people, and if you're going there for an operation, and you got to sign a form to say all liability is mine. If I die, it's my fault. So basically, you're in a no-win situation. It's like when you go for a mortgage in a bank. All the balls are in their side.
Definitely. I mean, all they're doing is just typing some numbers into your account.
Yeah,
They're not,
exactly.
and
And
you've got to work for the next 25 years to pay
exactly.
it.
And so you're getting this money, which you think is from them. And just for example, let's say the bank goes under, goes into liquidation or something. You lose your house, and the bank just maybe changes its name, carries on.
Yeah,
So what do
because
the bank put down for you? Nothing. So all these things what we sign are actually not proper contracts.
and it's
Every
funny.
contract's in our life.
It's sorry, Diamond. It's funny that you mentioned about you mentioned earlier about the doctors being very respected, and quite a lot of people respect the bank manager and the banks, like because they go there and they feel really like respectful towards them, and whenever they get a loan approved, they think that it's the bank manager that's approving it.
Yeah,
But as we know, it's all a numbers game to see if
of
you've got
course.
the, if you're a good risk, or kind of thing. I don't want to have too much of a go at, you know, again, some of these people that work in the banks, because I know that there's a difference between the kind of local banks and say like city bankers that, like Wall Street and stuff like that.
With the £2 or £3 million bonus,
That's right, exactly.
while the bank is losing money or closing or going under, and all of a sudden these bankers are getting merchant bankers are getting £2 or £3 million bonuses. That's what I call just laughing in your face.
That is, yeah, that is absolutely disgusting, to be honest. You got people losing their homes, people can't pay their medical bills, and they're still getting their bonus at the end,
Exactly.
and their lifestyle carries on while everyone else is like falling to the wayside.
Well, that's another sign. They're saying again. They're giving us hints in this matrix, saying, "Look, we're still taking the piss out of you blatantly. You're doing nothing about it.
That's right.
And what are you going to do about it? You're going to sit at home and just tell your friend, hey, look what they're doing, mate. Look what they're doing. And pay their bills as always."
And wait till the next election comes, and you can vote
Yeah.
somebody that might maybe sort things out for you instead of sorting it out for yourself.
Yeah. So going back to the pollution, the physical pollution, just as bad as the earthly pollution, because you find a lot of people dump their garbage outside, and
Obviously, the rivers as well is another
Yeah,
one. You know, we've got pretty dirty rivers around our ways, and you know they talk about take care of nature, and you know it's very important to look after nature, but most people don't seem to care, and obviously litter as well. People still throw litter on the street instead of putting it in the bin.
that's true.
Probably that's
That's
one of the
true.
only good things the councils have done would be like put bins in place and collect the rubbish. But unfortunately, sometimes they dump it in like let me think, what's the name of the country? Ghana, I think it is.
Right.
They've
Right.
turned that into like a dump. Basically, they just
Yep.
they just dump everything on that land, and
Well,
people just it's just you know turning their country into like a junkyard basically
to
instead of
a
being a
tip.
garden. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, so you find people are just, as you said, they're just dumping everywhere. Canals, rivers, and you think the planet is part of us, resembles us too, exactly the same. Because you might smoke, you might put crap in your body, and the crap that goes on the floor on the outside, chemtrails in the sky. You've got crap on the roads. You've got crap in our brains, which fluoride. You've got crap in our stomachs. Represents it's the same pattern as the planet as well. The same pollution. So if we can clean up ourselves, I'm sure at the same time we'll be cleaning the planet too.
Definitely, and I mean, obviously, there are things we can do to kind of cut down the amount of pollution. Obviously, maybe not driving the car so often if you have a car. Taking a break at the weekend, maybe. Go for a walk instead. Maybe we could, turn off the Wi-Fi on our routers. Maybe get a wired connection
That's
instead
true.
of walking around, uh, with all these signals that we can't see that are sort of damaging. So I think a lot of people, if we use our minds, we can make this a healthier environment to live in. What do you reckon, Diamond?
Quite easily. Quite easily. It's a shame that a lot of people move out of cities because of that reason. And and what makes me sort of peed off is, these sort of cities are only there for one reason, just to bring in revenue for money. All the capital cities of the world, for some reason, are all polluted places. They don't care about the health of people. It's like your risk is you can live there and work there, but you got to put up with the pollution. Take that in your lungs every day. As you know, as we spoke before one of our shows, there's quite a few parks near us, and from walking on the street to cutting off into a park, you notice the difference straight away.
And the canals as well.
Yeah, you can the air is different, and you're thinking you've only just walked around the corner, and it's a similar comparison to when you drink distilled water to tap water. You notice straight away.
Definitely. Or from, say, alcohol to fruit juice or something.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on how much alcohol, really. Because I guess a sip of alcohol would be pretty pleasing.
um, well, any final thoughts on the subject of pollution, Diamond?
Well, I would like to, like as you sort of said, superb. I'm all for people going back to basics again, like leaving the car at home for the weekend. Try to work on an allotment, some space so you can grow some veg, some fruit. Healthy living is the key. That's for me. That's a start. But we live in the matrix, and we just see the greed and also the vanity of people. Look what I have, and things, the material things, all come with radiation. Apart from clothing, of course.
For sure.
Like the cars. No, well, some sort of pollution, should I say? The cars, the phones, which with people's phones you can do a number of things with. Like you got the games, so that takes away their time. But going back to nature, an allotment, and as you said, take some time off, maybe the weekend, away from the internet, and get back to living again. So, yeah, that's my thought. We shouldn't really be in this state, really, should we?
Not at all.
Because
It's
20
sad.
years ago, yeah, it's a very sad, sorry state. 20 years ago, the world was getting bad, but it was nowhere near as horrific as it is now. And, 40 years ago, I thought the world 40 years ago, well, England anyway, was like heaven compared to how it is now. But
That is
we,
for
we can
sure.
do it because we have a new generation of people on the planet and different mindset, different brainwashing. Every generation has a different way of thinking, and so good thing is we can tap into older generations from past. That's why that's what wisdom is. You learn from your elders and you learn from mistakes of past, and you see what's going on in the present, not good. And the famous saying, history always repeats itself.
For
And
sure.
we can see that happening all the time with all the wars and people still being proud to take part in that. But going back to nature, it's a start for me. Superb. I'm
Definitely.
disappointed in what's going on, but going back to nature and take some time off,
I think
look after yourself, live natural.
it would be great, Diamond, if in the future we could get the guys behind the Stop Smart Meters on our show. It'd be great to kind of get more information and try to you know find out more about it really, because it is quite an interesting topic and it is
Yeah,
relevant to what's going on now. Because I know in America it's kind of old now, but in this land, I mean, obviously, it's getting quite it's quite a new thing that's coming out, and it's around the
it's, it's,
corner, and it would really
it's a,
help our listeners over here for sure, and maybe other countries in Europe that haven't got it yet.
I
So
mean,
it'd be
it
great.
will shock people. Um, but over here, in most places, the European mentality is quite submissive, where they just sort of don't really protest much and they just take things. But let's yeah, let's aim for that. Let's get
Sure,
someone on who can fill us in on their side on the pros of smart meter, and see if they can sell us one. I doubt it very much. But yep, thanks for listening, and we look forward to having you on our show for future shows. And superb, always a pleasure.
same to you, Diamond. Excellent. Thanks again.